Hello and welcome to That Arsenal podcast with me, Adam Charles. Today I've got a nice little panel. You've seen their faces before, but they always come out with some crazy things. And we'll get to speak to them in a second. First of all, though, I need to tell you about a watch along tomorrow. It will be myself and another Arsenal fan, and we will be covering the Manchester City game, the semi-final, obviously, with Arsenal. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on as well. But just to introduce you to the panel today, we've got Igal, the Kid EG, Cameron, and Tom, Gooner Talk TV. How are you guys doing?
All good, bro.
I'm chilling, mate.
Love that.
All good.
Lovely, boys. So, I mean, we've seen the title. We've seen that Thomas Partey is coming to Arsenal. We've heard it all throughout the summer, since lockdown, before lockdown. He's the player that Arsenal need, and we'll start there. Where do you think Thomas Partey will slot in? Because I've seen a lot of stuff saying today that we don't even need him. Some people are claiming that he's not as good as he's been made out. And I love how Arsenal sign-ins or players always get made to look overrated before they even manage to put on an Arsenal shirt. But then there are some statistics going out to say that he's actually one of the best dribblers in Europe at the moment. Ball-carrying midfielders, should I say. So yeah, what do you guys think? Where do you see him fitting in at Arsenal?
You want me to start? I'll tell you this, man. I think the fact that they're still in the Champions League, so we can't expect anything to happen. So when the window opens, fans are going to start panicking. They're going to say, why isn't he over the line? People expect the guy to sign first day of the window, but that's not going to happen because they're still in the Champions League. The Champions League is going to be going after the window begins. And all this stuff about Partey already agreeing a contract with Arsenal, this, that, I can't believe any of it. Only thing I do believe is that the club is interested and he might be interested in coming to Arsenal. But until the season's over with Atletico, I don't think we can take anything to note yet.
So you don't even believe that he's coming, basically. You don't think that?
No, I believe that there's an interest from the club, and I think that he might be interested in coming to the club. But I think there might be we have to wait because his focus is still 100% on Atletico. He still has a season where he's in the Champions League, where they have an easier route than the rest of the clubs. They're in that bracket with Leipzig and PSG and Atlanta. So they could win the Champions League, and you don't know if they win the Champions League, he's staying. I don't see him leaving if they win the Champions League.
That's an interesting point and something that I hadn't even considered. I don't think many Arsenal fans would have considered it. Tom, we've got a comment here saying, what will happen to Torreira? Another good point. Like I say, where does he fit in? If we get Partey, we've got Torreira, who in his first season looked fantastic, and now he's kind of fallen by the wayside. So what do you have to say about that, mate?
He doesn't fit in. It's as simple as that. Torreira does not get into the starting lineup for me if we were to sign Partey. He doesn't get in whatsoever. I was tweeting out the other day that Xhaka is clearly the more influential player for Arteta. Arteta clearly rates the Swiss international massively, and you can, I mean, it's obvious to see why when he's having such an impact on the Arsenal side at the moment. And if Partey was to come in, I see Torreira as one of the essential assets that the club has as sort of a valuable sale. Arsenal will need to sell players to reinvest in others, and I think Torreira certainly is one of those guys that could possibly be sold. But you've also got the other side of things, which is if he wasn't to be sold, the Premier League are having 5 substitutes next season and squad depth is going to be key. So he's not a long-term deal. He's going to be at the club for a few more seasons if he isn't sold. And for that reason, maybe he does add a fair amount of depth to this Arsenal team. As soon as you see players linked away, we want to replace them immediately. Or as soon as someone comes in like Thomas Partey, we're always thinking, well, Torreira must be off, other players must be off. But in reality, strength in depth is incredibly necessary for this Arsenal team to succeed.
Definitely. And Cam, tell me your opinion, mate. What do you have to say about it?
I think it'll be a good signing, but it's one of them players again. Like, yeah, he's proven himself in a certain squad, but Premier League's completely different. Do you know what I mean? So if he comes to the Premier League, is he going to bring that same level of consistency with him, sort of thing? Or is he just going to fall off? Like, is the Premier League going to be too tough for him? Personally, I think I I get Arteta. If it does go through, I sort of get why Arteta is doing it. But personally, I still think we need to strengthen our centre backs before we can even think about going to midfield and so on and so forth. So personally, I think it's a good signing. But if we do get him, does that mean we're not going to be able to get another defender because they're going to splash the cash on Partey and then end up getting probably another 17, 18-year-old? Because if he's looking to sort of, because I don't know if the reports are true, but there was reports saying that he's going to give a Mustafi an extension, right?
Yeah, I understand.
Why? Is that what? Is it, if you're going to give him an extension, do you know what it is? If you're going to give him an extension, does that mean because Salah's coming back? Does that mean you're not going to strengthen your defense this year? You're just going to go with the same sort of defense and work Saliba in to the defense and hope he becomes a main defender sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So I hope he does sign the defender. I hope he does sign a top class defender. That's what we need, innit? That's what we really do need. So who knows, man?
I understand. I think there are a number of questions surrounding it. I think nobody really knows what's going to happen in a post-COVID market. Nobody really understands how much money Arsenal have got to spend at the best of times, let alone in 2020 with this flipping unpredictable year. So I get it. I think one of the things to consider, though, and I've seen a couple of people mention it in the comments, is that they would have to question Partey's mentality if he went to a club like Arsenal. And I think, Igal, you kind of alluded to that in your response, saying if he's got Champions League at Atletico Madrid, why would he bother leaving there to come to Arsenal? And I think that's something that a lot of rival fans will be saying. But Arteta kind of said it himself the other day that Arsenal is still a very big club. It has a rich history. It's one of the best clubs in the world. It is the biggest club in London, and I stand by it. So why wouldn't he want to come? So do you guys think that he has a questionable mentality if he ends up coming to Arsenal?
I'll let Tom take this one.
Go on, Tom.
I don't think it is at all. We talked to Graham Hunter, who obviously the big Spanish football journalist, on our channel the other week about Thomas Partey, and his basic words were that players want more money, they want new challenges, they want the chance to win trophies, and Arsenal provide certainly a new challenge and more money. Trophies would be the biggest question of those three. But Arsenal are sitting in the semi-finals of the FA Cup this season. At the end of the day, Thomas Partey presents an opportunity to transform Arsenal's midfield. He is a transformative midfielder. He would enable Arsenal to beat the press that a lot of teams have had a lot of success against Arsenal. You watched the Leicester game and how much Arsenal struggled to break out of their own half against Leicester so many times. That was simply because Arsenal's midfield couldn't really cope with that press. Xhaka and Ceballos have been brilliant, I feel, since the restart, especially under Arteta's new system. But we still lack bodies in the midfield, and that comes from the compensation that we're sort of giving to the centre-backs by having three instead of two. We need to play three because the likes of David Luiz, the likes of Mustafi need three to be secure. Without an extra body, they suffer from the mistakes that they make in games. And so therefore, Arteta's long-term vision will be to go to a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, however you want to look at it. And Partey offers the opportunity to add a midfielder to this team that would transform our midfield. And similar to how Bruno Fernandes has transformed United's midfield in a different sense, he added creativity and flair and basically an increase in the amount of chances that United are creating. United were always good at sort of beating the press, but creating the chances was the biggest problem for them. And Partey offers the opportunity for Arsenal to beat the press and then enable their wide players to create the big chances on the pitch. So the reason why he'd come is because of money. Atletico can't offer the same amount of money that Arsenal could. A new challenge in the biggest league in the world as well, in the Premier League right now, and the opportunity to play for a club under a coach that is easily selling his vision to many more players throughout the transfer window.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's the vision, boys. The vision.
I couldn't say it better myself, but I think he hit the head on the nail on one thing. Midfield, he would definitely be a transformational player for our midfield, but the biggest thing is Our midfield's a bigger problem than our defense. People keep talking about our defense being such a big problem. We have 3 right backs that are decent for the Premier League level, I would say. Kieran Tierney's our left back for the future. And even if we don't want to play him, we could play Saka there, we could play Kolasinac. Center backs, William Saliba's coming in next season. David Luiz is still gonna be here, unfortunately, but he's still one of the best passing defenders out of the back. When it comes to any defender in the world, I would say David Luiz probably has the best passing range out of every defender in the world. And Mustafi getting a new deal, the only reason why you can say that makes any sense is because you have to protect your investment. As a football club, you can't just let all these players leave on a free. Even if you don't want them, you still have to keep them.
I'm just putting Cam's face there because when you spoke about Mustafi's new deal, he was laughing, man. I think he's. Oh, was that not related? I'm sure we'll see. Go on.
I'm muted.
Yeah,
No, I was laughing at that, but then I saw I started laughing at that, and then I saw a comment come up saying, "Arsenal have no history, no prestige." Like, huh? Like, I was not like laughing like at the Mustafi deal. I was like, no, I was disagreeing in a way, but I wasn't like laughing. But when I saw that comment, I was like, what?
Yeah. I think
we have no history.
It's a really, really weird one. I think it makes sense for players to still come to Arsenal. Yes, I don't think we can pay the wages of the super, super, super rich clubs. That's fine. But I don't think that's sustainable anyway. But I do think that Arteta, as Tom said, is selling his vision, is selling a model of a club and a playing style that is quite exciting. And I think players, certainly if I were a player anyway, would I want to play for a defensive side who doesn't really play exciting football, or Arsenal who look like they are on the brink of something that could be, as I say, exciting? But we will see. We will see. Moving on, guys. We've seen that Arsenal beat Liverpool during the week. We've seen that Arteta has a nice little record over Jurgen Klopp, which I think is a beautiful thing to see. And we have a huge game coming up this weekend, the FA Cup semi-final, and it will help us get Europa League football. I know that's not really where we want to be, but it's a stepping stone onto something a little bit bigger. Do you think that this is something that we should be throwing everything at the kitchen sink, every single thing to try and win? Or, as some Arsenal fans are saying, should we instead just try and focus on next season without any distractions because our squad isn't deep enough, as some of you have? Cam, tell me, what do you think?
Do you know what? Yeah, as much as obviously you want the big deals to come in, and they probably won't end up coming in if you don't have any sort of European football. Personally, I think Arsenal need a year out, because every time we're in Europa League now, we're not even. We got to the final, and what did we do? We lose 4-1. This season we get knocked out. It's like it's a chain reaction to what we was doing in the Champions League. Like, what's the point being in the Champions League if all we do is get knocked out? I don't want to. I want to be in these European competitions to win it, not just for the money. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a sense of false hope. So me personally, I think we should just take a year out of Europa League, European football. To be honest with you, I think Arteta said in his press conference earlier, he just says, "I'm just taking every game as it comes now." Like, he's not even bothered. Like, I don't think he's that bothered if he wins or loses tomorrow. Like, we've got a chance to get, like, to be honest with you, if Wolves and Sheffield United end up slipping up regardless, which maybe not, but if they end up doing with 2 games, we could end up going above them anyway, and all this could be all me saying I don't want to be in Europe. It's just going to be nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
personally, I think we should just take a year out.
Honestly, this season has been a reality check for the fan base. That it's not you're not entitled to win every single game against the smaller teams, and you have to battle. And even the greatest teams, the Invincibles, even they struggled at times, and they had to fight to win the game or at least draw. So they kept on to that invincible record. What I'm saying is, Arteta has shown in the little time that he's been here, that he's improved our defense slightly. There's still individual errors within the players, but at the same time, our attack has not really improved much either. So not only do we have to look at our defense, but we have to look at our attack also, because we have not been finishing off games when we had opportunities. Even though we've been like the Tottenham game, we battered them, and they beat us. And the game that we played against Liverpool, they battered us, but we somehow won the game. You can see two different performances day to day, week to week. You never know what you're going to get. If we can get a little bit of consistency with Arteta, I think he's going somewhere. And when I used to see Emery, I used to see a guy who was a stepping stone manager. When I look at Arteta, I see a guy who could possibly be the finish or get Arsenal to that top level again. Where Emery, I never felt like that. I always felt like Emery was the guy before the next guy. Where Arteta, I feel like Arteta can be that guy. Just like people say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a stepping stone manager. I feel like Arteta is that manager that's not a stepping stone manager. He's already the finished manager that can come in and do something for us.
Yeah, I think we all know that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't anything really. He's trash. But we're not going to talk about Manchester United. That's fine. Tom, what do you have to say? Do you think that that Arsenal should go all out for the FA Cup, and by default the Europa League?
I mean, it's a sad state when I'm sitting here as an Arsenal fan saying that we need to be going all out for the Europa League, but that is the reality that we're sitting in. I'm honestly having a tough time reading through some of these comments in the live chat, absolutely bashing Arsenal for days, and
They are.
Unfortunately, we're in the situation where that's the position that Arsenal are in right now, and it's sad that we have to sit here and take it, but we do. I saw a comment about Arsenal having no history and prestige, which is laughable.
That's the thing. That's what I was saying.
I was going to say, United fans need to have a look at the competition that they're going to be playing at the weekend. Who's won that most times? I think it's us. So when you're looking at a club with prestige, Arsenal certainly have that, and that's why we can go for players like Partey, we can go for players like Nicola Pepe, go for players like Aubameyang and Lacazette, and that they would still join this club even though Arsenal can't necessarily guarantee them Champions League at this stage. The situation that Arsenal are in is easy to understand. Arsenal have got an ownership at the moment that are not, their vision of what a club needs to be is not right now. Things are improving. Arsene Wenger leaving the club needed to happen. It happened too late. That's a guarantee. Arsenal have now got a situation where the board 10 years too late, arguably. But there's a mixture of people on the board now where we're starting to see an evolution. We're seeing Raul Sanllehi, who has faced a hell of a lot of criticism, quite rightly. But then we're starting to see other connections being made between the board, with Edu coming in, with Vinay handling the things that he needs to do, with Ivan Gazidis leaving, with Arteta taking over. And I'm telling you that clubs need to be concerned. You need to look at Arteta as a manager with real potential, as a manager that, as a coach that can really take this club forward. You just need to see what Klopp did at Liverpool and the situation that he was handed when he joined the Merseyside club. Arteta's come into Arsenal with a very, very similar situation, with players that he has improved. You can laugh at Mustafi, you can laugh at Xhaka, you can laugh at these players that have caused major mistakes in this league. But if he can improve players like that, I would be extremely concerned when Arsenal bring in some really good players and see what Arteta can do with those guys. And I'd be worried about what he can do. And at the moment in time, when you're looking at Mourinho turn around and say, I'm worried about what Arsenal can do, Klopp's turn around and say he's a little bit concerned about Arteta being at the club because he knows what the guy can do, I wouldn't be laughing too hard, because in a year's time, 2 years' time, you might see a very, very different Arsenal at the club that you're laughing at right now.
And that's all it is in the comments. I can't believe it myself, to be honest. Well said, Tom.
I've had to turn the comments off. Don't
let them keep
I'll end up sending for people. I don't want to do that. I'm not here to be upset. I'm here to just have banter.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. So on the actual game, do you genuinely believe that Arsenal can beat Manchester City on?
It's gonna be tough.
Do you know what's funny? Yeah, do you know what's so funny? Do not be shocked if we win. I'm not saying we're gonna win. Just don't be shocked if we do, because it's gonna be the most Arsenal thing. Listen,
you cannot. You can't play Manchester City 10 times and lose every single time. We have to win eventually. Mathematics says we have to win eventually. Am I right? Last time we won was in the FA Cup semi-final, and there's I think it went to penalties, did it, or did we just win? I forget.
Isn't it
I had an exam that day. I didn't even watch that game. I missed it. But I remember Nacho Monreal and Sanchez scored. But that was like 4 years ago now. We can do it again.
3-4 years.
I'm personally thinking it might go to penalties.
I mean, yeah, if it does, I'm not really backing Arsenal to beat City on penalties, really. I mean, if we were to have a performance like we did against Liverpool, yes, I recognise that we conceded 2 goals from their mistakes. Is it going to take a lapse in concentration from City players for Arsenal to win? Essentially?
Do you know what's so funny? When I was watching that Liverpool game, yeah, it reminded me of us against Tottenham. Not so much pressure that Liverpool put on us, but it sort of reminded us. 9 times, I think I saw someone said to me, 9 times out of 10, Liverpool will beat you if that exact same game happens, and I agree. So if we end up playing like that against City, I don't think we're gonna be able to hold them off like we held Liverpool off. Because Liverpool right now are on the downslope because they've already won it. So they're on a downslope. City are just there to prove something now. And look at what they're doing to teams. Look what they did to us at the restart. Yeah. They started to smash us, and then it was just an ongoing effect. They started going at every team. So, like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if like we win. But personally, I think reality, I see us losing 2-3-0 maybe again.
Can I say something?
I hope we win.
Can I say something? It's not all doom and gloom. We keep talking like Arsenal, it's all doom and gloom. But when you really think about it, the Tottenham game we could have won. The Leicester game we could have won. Arguably, almost every game, even the Brighton game, we could have won it. So when you think about after the restart started, have you been playing that bad?
I agree with that. No, I agree with that. Our problem is our strikers can't put the bloody ball in it. It's as simple as that.
That's a completely different story from.
I hear you, Miguel, but you can say we could have beaten Brighton. You can say we could have beaten Barcelona in the Champions League final, but the fact is we didn't. So while I recognize that we did, and I have to say against Tottenham, I think we played better than I thought we were going to. Against Leicester, same thing, but. Really, there comes a point where you have to say, okay, yeah, we did well, but what's next? My point was, I get it's not doom and gloom, but at this point, it's still, I think, being realistic.
My point was performance.
I wasn't trying to be like all doom and gloom. I know when it came out. I wasn't even trying to be all doom and gloom. I was just seeing it as reality. Do you know what I mean? I agree where you're coming. I'm not even trying to argue with you. I'm not like arguing with you, but yeah, go on.
My point is, it's not about sometimes not only about the result, it's also about the performance. Because if you guys keep saying the season a write-off, the fact that the performances have picked up to a level where you can say the Leicester game, there is a lot of that game we controlled. The Tottenham game, a lot of that game we controlled. The Brighton game, we should have won that game. Even after that, if you look at the Southampton game, we won because of a goalkeeper error, people say. But realistically, if the goalkeeper error happens for Eddie, then it happens to Alisson. It happens in the Wolves game. It's not just the error anymore. It's because there's a tactical plan to pressure the goalkeeper into committing these errors. And when I say Arsenal are moving the right step, people laugh at me. But the point is, you look at the games and what you see is Arsenal actually moving the correct steps from when Arteta came in.
Do you know what? I have to applaud your positivity because you're probably the only Arsenal fan I know that has said that it was a tactical plan that forced the mistakes from Liverpool. And you know what? I'm happy to accept it. I don't disagree.
I don't disagree with it.
Genuinely, I really applaud that optimism. Tom, what do you think?
I mean, it wasn't. Basically, the Liverpool game, he told the players to press. They pressed. Liverpool are in basically a situation right now where any amount of pressing was going to force an error. If we played Liverpool 3 months ago and played the way we did, I don't think we'd come out with that win, to be honest. It was very, very fortunate. However, that can't take away from the defensive performance that we displayed in that game. The amount of the blocks that were there, last-ditch tackles, clearances, that was all really key to that game. And I don't expect Arteta to take that sort of game into the Manchester City game, because you can't do that against City. Against the Liverpool side that have won the league, you can bide the time. You can keep your fingers crossed and hope that they don't score. But the thing is that City, with the strength and depth that they have, are not going to just privy around the box until they score. They will create more chances and more clear-cut chances than what we saw that Liverpool side do 2 days ago. So I'm not going to turn around and say that I'm expecting Arsenal to put on a defensive display that they put on against Liverpool, because I don't think that's accurate. I think what you're going to see is a Manchester City side dominate the game. And if Arsenal are going to come out from anything, it will have to be from the few chances that we will get, is that we have to take them. Luckily, we've started to see Lacazette take chances against big teams with Wolves and Spurs and now Liverpool. And that does fill me with a little bit more confidence. But Aubameyang has missed chances in all of those 3 fixtures as well. And that is the biggest concern for me, that if our top guy is not firing, then we're not going to be beating a club like Manchester City. It's as simple as that.
He's not getting golden boot.
No, Vardy's got that all over, easy.
Vardy's got that.
Yeah, Danny Ings can still get it. Don't sleep.
Danny Ings even Danny Ings. I'm not even like Danny Ings can do it.
Listen, the whole thing about Aubameyang not being a top big game player, okay, I'll take that on the chin. But Lacazette, you can never say he's not a big game player. Against Man United, 4 goals in the league. Against Spurs, 5 goals. Against Chelsea, 2 goals. Against Liverpool, 4 goals. Against City, 1 goal. So that is big numbers, bro.
Yeah, but
do you know what it is? Do you know what the funny thing is? We got 2 strikers, yeah, that one turns up in the big games, but doesn't turn up in the small games. And then we've got one that turns up in the small games, but doesn't turn up in the big games. It's as simple as that.
No, I completely agree.
That's all.
I don't think that, as much as I was sold on the idea of Lacazette when he first came in, I don't think that he has hit. I wasn't expecting him to be, I don't even know, bloody the next coming of Thierry Henry or whatever. But I don't think he's hit the heights that we expected him to. And I think we're now saying he's scoring, which is great, but he should have been doing that from the very beginning. And I think there's a little bit more to come from him still. That being said, as you say, Igal, he has turned up against the big teams. And I know that bar Laporte, every single City defender has a mistake in him. Every single one. Still not sold on Fernandinho at centre-back. Will he even be playing there this weekend? I don't know. But the rest of them, Otamendi, John Stones, Eric Garcia, who's the other one? Am I missing one? Fernandinho, whoever it is. They're not convincing centre-backs. Do you know what I mean? So I think there are mistakes in both back lines. It's just that if the City machine gets firing and is quick, then I think we're in big trouble. Like there's no hope in hell.
You say that, but United didn't United beat them both games this season or 2 games this season?
Yeah, but United also have a very fluid attack,
but they beat us already ago.
No, but we beat. But listen, I'm gonna say this: if it's football, anyone can win. I came on here before the Liverpool game and I said we can win. And the reason why I'm saying we can beat Man City is because, yes, we lost to them at their house, but this is neutral ground. This is at Wembley.
Oh, no. He was full flow.
He was. I'm not quite sure what's happened.
I thought it was me.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think of that comment before we move on? Does Otamendi walk into the Arsenal defense? I'm not sure if that's true.
No, he doesn't.
Do you know what's so funny? You know when you was oh, sorry, Tom, you go first.
Go on. You were talking, fella.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. No. When I was listening to the names that you was reading out, and you're saying they're not convincing centre backs. To be fair, they're better than our centre backs. So, because they're second, do you know what I mean? So, fair enough. I know City are 20 points behind Liverpool, but they're still 10 points behind everyone else, in front of everyone else. Do you know what I mean? So, I know City have leaked a lot of goals this year. They have leaked a lot of goals, but I think that just goes down to Pep being stubborn, not wanting to bring in the replacement for Vincent Kompany. But you know what I mean? So I think Pep's known that mistake. So don't be shocked if City run away with it again next year. I wouldn't be shocked.
Wow. Okay.
I think Chelsea, all of that, the talk about Chelsea and Man United because they're on the rise and that. Yeah, they're on the rise, but they're not going to be close. They're not going to be close to City and Liverpool. If Liverpool keep their players and then add to that squad, no one's going to be close to them too.
I think we've got to get back.
Yeah, I had to get on my phone. My laptop is acting up.
I see. Rookie mistake.
All right.
Okay, guys. Just to finish that bit off, tell me your predictions. Tom.
3-1 City.
Wow. Okay. Straight off the bat. No.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking with my head.
No, you're right. It's true. Yeah. Fine. Fair. Gal.
2-2. Penalty win. To
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Honestly, I want to eat what you eat for breakfast, genuinely, because
listen, it's football, it's a sport. Humans make mistakes. Even the best team can lose. And I said it. We played them 10 times. We can't lose every time.
We can lose 11 times.
That's also true. So, but you're right. All right, go on, Cam. Tell me, what's your prediction?
I'm gonna say, because it's at Wembley and it's the FA Cup, I'm gonna say 2-1 Arsenal because it won't shock me. But I'm only saying that thing, knowing that if City beat us, it's still not gonna shock me. It's just.
Oh, I changed my mind. We're gonna win 3-0. Okay.
That's what's so funny. No.
We're gonna win 3-0, mate.
Nah. Whoa. Nah, I'm just gonna say 2-1 Arsenal for now, innit? Because it's at Wembley and we do have a good record at Wembley, whether you like it or not. So,
yeah, taking all that into account, let's go for 1-1. It goes to pens, but then we lose because Jack is scoring a penalty tomorrow if it goes there. Probably because who's most hated? Someone that we love right now. Pepe will miss a penalty. Some of that.
No, David Luiz free kick. That's the shocker.
David Luiz free kick. Yeah. Now you're definitely smoking.
Nah. Like I said, easy goal once again. Pressure.
Yeah, guess so.
Oh yeah. Yo, if you score another goal off pressing a goalkeeper for the rest of the game, now you have to say it.
I'll go get a sign. I'll go and get a shirt with Lacazette on the back next week, bro. No lie.
Yeah, don't waste your money. Anyway. So next, I want to talk to you about Ainsley Maitland now. There were reports this week that he believes that in order for him to progress and for his career to move on, he needs to leave Arsenal. There's interest from Germany. The report I read didn't actually name a specific club. But yeah, what are we? I'll give my opinion first and foremost. I don't think he'll be missed. I'm going to put that out there. I think he has had some good performances. I think he's covered well at right back for us. But I don't think that's specifically due to the fact that he is a really talented right back or football player. I think it's more to do with the fact that we haven't had very good players at right back for 2 seasons now. Even in midfield, we put him there. I don't know what midfielder he is. And you've got players like Saka who have come in and who have really shone. Guys, I don't really see the issue here. Let Maitland-Niles go.
I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles is one of the most athletic players in the defensive positions for us, and that is, you cannot underestimate how valuable he's been as an option. When Bellerin was out, before we had Cedric, he was one of the key players because he was playing game in, game out at the beginning of the season. He was our only option. So as an option, we're going to lose depth. But as long as we replace it with, say, we bring in the academy kid who's currently on loan in Germany. I forget his name, but he's playing in the second division of Germany right now. If we bring in someone like that, academy player, some people might end up missing not Bellerin, might miss Ainsley Maitland-Niles. And there's arguments. People say till now, they argue between Bellerin, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and Cedric. Cedric somehow is number one when he hasn't done much. But to me, Bellerin and Ainsley Maitland-Niles, either one plays, I don't get mad.
Okay. Nice. Fair. Tom, Cam, what we saying?
I mean, Cedric can't play because he's cup side, so he's not going to be in the side. It's most likely going to be Bellerin. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, though, to go on to that topic, is, again, like to talk about Torreira. If Arsenal are in the financial state that supposedly they are, he's an asset. He's an asset to the club that they can sell to someone for a decent fee, which can be reinvested. If we're being brutally honest, we can go on about how he's great athletically, he offers us multiple position cover. But if someone comes in with a decent fee for him, I don't see any level-headed Arsenal fan turning around and saying they wouldn't take 20+ million for the guy. To reinvest elsewhere. There's just too much talent out there that you could replace him with to increase our strength in depth. I think that he's come out in the past and said that he's not a right back, he's a midfielder. Well, if you're going to get into this midfield, you need to get past Xhaka, Ceballos, Torreira, arguably anyone else we bring in, be it Partey, and that's not going to happen. And so therefore he's going for the right back slot, which is very much taken by Bellerin. Arteta seems to like the Spaniard. And then you've got Cedric, who's just been signed to a 4-year deal as well. So Ainsley Maitland-Niles' position in the team is not going to be an easy route. And if we can get a good fee for the guy, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't do that.
Definitely.
I don't disagree, but I'm just saying the people. I think he gets harsh criticism.
I agree.
Yeah, just like
I was just reading a comment.
Go on.
Go. Me, yeah. All right, cool. No, I was just reading a comment about. I think someone took my Bayern Munich comment a bit too deep. Someone said Maitland-Niles is not going to be the next Serge Gnabry. Of course, duh. I was joking. Yeah, but with me personally, I don't think it's a loss if we sell him. But then again, I don't think it's a bad thing if we keep him, because he is inconsistent at times. But on his day, he is a good defender. I agree with Vigal. He's a very good defender. Like on his day, he's very hard to get past. But
Arsenal
then the argument against him is
you were talking about. Like when you said he's going to be the next Serge Gnabry, let's face it, at Arsenal, Serge Gnabry was
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
But like, I know it was a joke about Bayern Munich, but a lot of Arsenal fans say we can't let the likes of Guendouzi, let the likes of Ainsley Maitland-Niles leave just in case a Serge Gnabry happens again. Arsenal can't run a club like that. You can't just wait until these players turn into something good. We can look back and say that, Serge Gnabry's turned into an amazing player, but Arsenal, he wasn't showing it. He went on loan to West Brom and didn't show it under Tony Pulis. And you might say that he was in the wrong environment, but there was nothing from that loan deal that made us go as fans, oh, wow, bloody hell, we need to get this guy back into the team and starting. No, at Bayern Munich, you would think that now, but there was nothing that we saw from him that would show that. We haven't seen anything from Guendouzi. Honestly, can anyone tell me, have Arsenal missed Guendouzi since he's not been in the team? No one's missed Guendouzi since he's not in the team. Oh, it's great that he hangs out the windows of cars after North London derbies and shouts and screams. We love that. That's great. But at the end of the day, if he's not gonna be in this first team, we might as well go get a decent fee for the guy. And Arsenal fans need to stop getting hung up on the possibility that these players could become good. Because if they're not showing it now, get a decent fee for them. Get someone in that is going to play well for us. It's as simple as that.
Wow. I'm not going to lie to you. I was watching the Getafe game and I thought Guendouzi was playing in Getafe's team. I was like, that's how far. That's how
right. I like Getafe.
Can I just say one thing about the Gnabry thing? Just quickly. Me personally, I remember when it was the 2012 Olympics, when Gnabry played in the German team, and he was running things, and he was still an Arsenal player then.
Yeah.
And me personally, I would say we need to keep him because look what he can do. If they can if they can put him in the right system, like how Germany put him in the right system, we can get that out of Sergio Gnabry, and then they sold him. So, but I agree with what you're saying, though. I do agree with what you're saying.
But But look at it from the other perspective. While he was at Arsenal, there's probably people saying he's not good enough. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. And the moment he leaves, the other side of the fan base say, "Oh, why'd we get rid of him?" So the same thing can happen with any player. Right now,
No, it'll be the same fan base. It'll be the same fan base that say get rid of him. It'll be like, oh no, why did we sell him?
yeah,
No, exactly. And I think at the time when he left, like Arsenal were in a situation where they had Theo Walcott starting every single week. You had Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain that was being given sort of a week in, week out position as well. Even Aaron Ramsey was being played in a wide position over Serge Gnabry. And so at that point in time, there wasn't a route for the guy. So I can't blame him to go off to Werder Bremen and go get minutes and then to Bayern Munich and go on loan to Hoffenheim after that. I can't blame the guy for that. But I completely get what Cam's saying. In that German under-21 side or wherever it was, he looked really good. But if he wants minutes and Arsenal can't guarantee him that, you can't fault Arsenal and the player for allowing a move to happen.
you know, I heard from somebody.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that.
I know somebody who knows what's his name, Belligan, the kid, the academy kid. They know his agent, and they're looking to go make a move in the Premier League, maybe down south to Southampton.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, it is. What do we think of this comment here? The thing is, we're not going to get a lot of money for those guys, the Guendouzi, the Maitland-Niles. You said, I think you quoted about £20 million for him. I'd love to.
Can I say one thing about the Guendouzi?
You can.
I remember being on that podcast. Who was it that said we could get easily 60, 70 mil for him?
It was what my friend, someone on the Fifth Official said that because he's a French international and he's young, we would be able to get £60 million for Matteo.
No. Someone said it was 60 million pound easy.
Well,
I just want to say, if any clubs are out there, if there's any clubs out there willing to pay that for Guendouzi, please take him.
Honestly,
you're gonna. I'm not even lying. That's 30, 40 million extra.
Honestly,
than what he's actually worth. So please.
Oh man, I heard Manchester United were in the running. That's when fans started freaking out.
Take him.
Yeah, honestly, they'll see. I mean, there's one thing to be said about
pay for players.
Well, we took Alexis Sanchez off us, and look what he's done since the movement.
They thought they were getting Van Persie part 2.
So yeah, no, you're right. I don't think we're getting more than. It wouldn't be more than 25 for Guendouzi. It wouldn't be more than, I'd probably say, about 15 to 20.
15, 20.
Well, I think that's kind of pushing it. But even then, you can get a decent prospect for that amount of money. I
spoke to a Liverpool fan, and they're telling us, yo, Arsenal, you guys undersell your players because look at what they got for Solanke. Look at what they got for their players. Like even Sacco went to Crystal Palace for Benteke went for almost 30 million. Did he not? Am I crazy?
All right, can I say one thing? How much did we buy Adebayor for?
Barely anything.
9, I think it was.
How much did we sell him for?
25, 30.
How much did we buy Fabregas for?
Nothing. 500k.
How much did we sell him for?
36.
How much did we buy Van Persie for?
Again, 175 grand, I think it was.
How much did we sell him for?
24 million.
Okay, so I don't know what this Liverpool guy is talking about, bruv.
I think he's talking about like recently we let Sanchez go for a swap deal.
I get what you're saying, Agal. I think that the argument in more recent times is more valid. But what Cam's saying there is obviously that Arsenal have got a decent record of buying players for very little, selling them on for a lot more. But the last half decade, Arsenal haven't been able to do that. You look at the Mkhitaryan situation. Arsenal are going to get about £1 million compensation for that deal. Where a guy that had a year left on his deal, it's a lot of wages that we're going to save. But I feel like after a really good season at Roma, there was an asset that Arsenal could have got something from. Even Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think we sold him for something like 30-something million. He was an English young guy that has gone on to absolutely smash it. I don't know how we couldn't have milked Liverpool for a little bit more in that situation. There's players that Arsenal have signed since then. You look at the David Luiz re-signing for a year. You look at Cedric signing for 4 years, and these guys might do well for us. But that money that's been invested into those players' wages could have gone on younger guys that had resale value, that added something in terms of finances to the club. Arsenal have signed players that just the Pepe deal in particular, even the Aubameyang deal is a really weird one because We bought Aubameyang when we just spent £55 million on Alexander Lacazette. We signed Aubameyang 6 months later for £5 million more after losing Alexis Sanchez. We then played Aubameyang, who was one of the best strikers in Europe, out of position for the rest of his Arsenal career, when we could have spent the money on a Nicola Pepe, not at that time, but a similar player who is a natural winger that would have added goals from wide areas more consistently and left Lacazette in a position where he was able to continue his development. And if we're honest, Lacazette's development of the club has been stunted by the signing of Aubameyang. There's no argument to that. Even though Aubameyang's been pushed out wide, during Emery's time at the club, he was desperate to get both of those two playing together in a 4-4-2. And ultimately, that's what cost us the Europa League final, is that we played with two strikers up top that had no connection to the midfield because we were desperate to fit both of them into the team at the same time. Arsenal have made silly decisions in the transfer market. We've not signed a proper out-and-out defensive midfielder that is competitive in the Premier League. We signed Torreira, who's good as a lightweight guy, but Arsenal needed a heavyweight industrial midfielder to come into the team. We've never, ever signed a top-class centre-back since the likes of Sol Campbell had left the club. We just haven't done
Oh, my God, thank you.
Koscielny, Vermaelen, Squillaci, anyone else, Gabriel, like these guys that are not have no pedigree about them. Arsenal have needed a Virgil van Dijk signing for absolutely years, and we've never invested. Instead of that, what we've done is we've spent £72 million on a winger that I like in Pepe, but we could have spent that money on a top-class centre-back that was going to improve us, and we just haven't done that.
Do you know what? I think that's an excellent place to leave.
You know, I go to the pub more times before I come on these shows.
You know why? You know what's so funny? You know when you said about, when you said about the Sol Campbell, I said, I've been saying to my mates, I said, when was the last time Arsenal signed a world-class centre back? And they was like, I said, probably Sol Campbell, no?
Yeah.
I said, why do you think we've not won the league since 2004?
What's the thing is, we could have signed Virgil van Dijk from Celtic. We had the opportunity to do that, and Southampton got him. We could have signed him after a year at Southampton. We didn't do that.
Do you know what it is? We see with that, I don't really like all that, because with the amount of times I've heard Arsenal, we could have signed this player, we could have signed that player, like the Messi, the Ronaldo that we heard, and all this, and we don't. We don't. It's just a philosophy at Arsenal. I don't think it's about. I don't know what it is.
You know what happened? You know what happened when we did when the Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan window started, and the Socrates and Torreira. think about all those signings. Those were quick fixes to try to get us back into the Champions League that actually stunted our growth as a club. We were better off if we would have gone for younger options, as you were saying, that we could maybe return on investment and sell on for profit. But picking Socrates over Sianchu was a big mistake. Picking a Mkhitaryan swap deal when we could have sold him to City and gotten maybe 50 to 40 million in that January.
We could have. Do you know what we could have actually done is then the swap deal with Man United and brought in Martial.
No,
Martial wanted to.
They refused. They refused.
He still wants to leave.
Listen, Arsene Wenger tried everything. He even tried to get Sterling.
You know,
remember he tried to get Sterling and we got criticised.
The thing that frustrates me, though, is that we can sit here and say that Arsenal should have done this, should have done that. But ultimately, when some players come up under the Arsenal radar, the arrogance from some Arsenal fans. I mean, how many Arsenal fans scoffed at the idea of signing Johnny Evans? How many Arsenal fans turned around and said, are you kidding? Johnny Evans, what, that reject from Manchester United? And look what he's done. He's gone on to Leicester. And
I thought it would have been a good. I think it would have been a good.
With the benefit of hindsight,
I've always said sort of, do you know what Arsenal need to do? They need to bring in some sort of B sort of class players like your Danny Ings and that, just for the squad depth for the first couple of seasons, just to get that depth in the squad. You see how Klopp did it. Yeah. He brought in some
Alberto Moreno
B class players just to get the. Just to get the depth in the squad, and now look at his squad now. Do you know what I mean? Because that depth made him go higher and higher, more money. Signings wanted to come in, so
They signed Xhaka. We signed Xhaka for the same money they signed Mane for, and they were getting criticized, and we were getting praised. Remember? Just goes
I
to show
remember
you
that.
how
And
things
I said,
quickly.
why are we getting praised? I even said that. I was like, when that happened, I was like, sorry. I was like, why are we getting praised and they've just got a bargain.
Fair.
No, remember,
Sorry,
Mkhitaryan went to United for 25 million, and they paid 10 million more to get Mane from Southampton. So at that point, it looked crazy. Where we paid for Mustafi and Xhaka and Lucas Perez. Come on, that whole window was a disaster, and we're still getting punished from that window. I personally believe.
It's true. It's true.
Right,
it's true.
lads. I'm gonna give the final word to Tom. I can see that he was saying something about scouting recruitment. Go on, finish off.
Oh no, I mean it does just come down to scouting and recruitment at the end of the day. Is that Arsenal? What really frustrates me is that Arsenal had the golden eye, as he was described, in Sven Mislintat at the club. This guy brought in the likes of Ousmane Dembele to Borussia Dortmund. He spotted some really amazing talent. He got us in Dinos Mavropanos, who the jury's still out on this guy. He went to Nuremberg this season and was a massive help in keeping them in the division that they were in. Did a really amazing job for them. He signed a new contract with us, and he's gone back to now Sven Mislintat's club at Stuttgart and signed for them for another year, and hopefully he carries on his development. But for me, Arsenal's recruitment and scouting just needs to buck up. We need to look at the likes of Southampton, who clearly have invested really, really well in players. They've then sold them off for a massive profit to mostly Liverpool, it's fair to say. But we did a podcast on the show, and we do a show called the Tactical Breakdown Podcast, where we interviewed Football Manager's Austrian researcher, Wolfgang Gasperich, and he was a massive expert in Red Bull and Red Bull Leipzig and Red Bull Salzburg and how they conduct their scouting and the type of players that they go for. And the thing is that those clubs, that's what they're built on. Their businesses are built on buying and selling players. But Arsenal need to get a little bit more street smart, a little bit more savvy in the transfer market and pick off these young talents before they move somewhere else, because Arsenal are ultimately paying the price by signing the players one transfer after the transfer we should have signed them for. We signed players one transfer after. Like you look at Lacazette, you look at Aubameyang, we could have signed players like that at an earlier stage in their career. We could have signed an Aubameyang before he left Saint Etienne for Borussia Dortmund, and we didn't. And that's a genuine thing that could have happened under Arsene Wenger. We were looking at Aubameyang when he was at Saint Etienne, and we just didn't move for him because we didn't think he was the right type of profile. Arsenal need to take more risks on these lesser-known players and stop falling into the trap of always baying to the fans that are desperate for these massive marquee signings. Because at the end of the day, these players that we've signed for massive fees, like Mustafi, like Lacazette, at this age in their career, haven't worked. They just haven't worked. And Arsenal need to just get a little bit more clever with how they recruit players. It's as simple as that.
Well, lads, you heard it here first. Arsenal going to beat Manchester City tomorrow. Arsenal going to sign Messi, Ibrahimovic, Cristiano Ronaldo, all of that stuff as well, and win the Premier League next season. It's an exclusive. It is an
3 years. 3 years, actually.
3 years.
It's realistic. In 3 years, we could.
I think someone told me 2024. So, hey.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. And remember, guys, we're gonna have a watch along.
That was for the comments.
Channel. If you're an Arsenal fan and you're watching right now, make sure you tune in because you get to see my lovely face. Guys, see you later.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a preview tonight, so guys can check that out too.
Peace out.